Glacier High School, it is so good to see you. I think this is our 10th presentation to the district, and this is the one that I was most looking forward to. It's kind of like homecoming a little bit. And just so grateful to be able to see you, and I just see everybody and I want to talk to you. And Ross, how is your summer? What's going on, man? Oh, good. That's great. I know there's some new staff in here today. Can you, just by show of hands, see a few? It's hard to see up here with the lighting the way it is, but also know that this is being recorded for posterity's sake, and will be probably pushed out on social media and our district website and shared with teachers who couldn't be with us in the district over the last couple of days. And I just want to start by acknowledging that we have some challenges. And one of the challenges is I look out across the audience, and I don't know how many of you have actually had to present in front of a bunch of people wearing masks, but it's really hard to read affect. And I don't know if you're scowling at me, or laughing at me, or just shaking your head. Just shake your head, I know what you're saying. But every now and again, if you get like a little head nod, that's encouraging to the person up here. And I think you're going to experience this in your classrooms here shortly. But yeah, there are lots of challenges as we try to figure out how we open up our district in the safest way possible and continue to stay open. That is our goal. And the good news is we have a plan. And we've been trying to communicate that out to you. We've been sharing things on the district website and through email. And we put a lot of time and effort into it. And I want to acknowledge a couple of people in the room today. One is obviously Callie, our assistant superintendent. Bill Sullivan over here on the side. Bill is our director of operational accountability. Also known as the COVID guy. And then we also have with us Sarah Cole, our Director of Special Services. And Liz Lawrence, our IT Director. And I'm not sure if Tracy was able to make it. She had another meeting that she had to attend to. But we're grateful for the opportunity. And one of the things that, as a district, we've usually gotten together in a big group, and it's kind of has this, thanks to Callie, it's had a really festive spirit. We're in the jungle here, and I think you wore leopard tights. I think that's what it was. And I wanted Mardi Gras this year, but we weren't able to do that. And so things change. But one of the things that usually is communicated in the past has been what our expectations are. And we want to see increased student achievement, and we want to do a lot of things as a district. And we want to keep pushing our vision to be the best place to live, work, and learn. And those things are all important, and they still exist. But for me, the expectation is that we do our best. That you do your best. There are so many things that we don't know yet. And I can tell you from a central office perspective, we're trying to do our best. And there is grace in what that looks like. And so that's the expectation. We're going to do our best to serve our kids and our families. I think it's not unnoticed that schools do more than just teach reading and writing and arithmetic. We also provide services for our families and our students. We provide meals. We provide mental health care. We provide nurse support. We provide all sorts of things to make sure that we take care of our students. And we're an important part of this community. And so we're going to do our best when it comes to that. I think it's also important to know that we are pioneers. Callie's going to talk in a moment about the Remote Education Center. We are pioneering things that have not been done before to the scale that they're being done. And the good news is we're not the only ones, but we're going to be the best at it. And in your classrooms, you're going to be pioneers. And so as we acknowledge the challenges and we acknowledge what we're capable of doing, I think we're in a really good place. We have an amazing district. And I've been around to almost all of the buildings now and am just impressed with how things are going. And I think from a central office perspective, the biggest thing that we can do is support you. I will take the time with anyone who wants more support. Whether it's a student, whether it's staff, a family member, there's not been one email or one phone call that's gone unanswered from my office. That is what we're here to do. You are in the trenches. You are going to be doing the hard work here in a couple of days. And so we want to support you and know that that's our role. And that's Callie, and Bill, and Sarah, and Rich, and Tracy. We want to support you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Callie. She's going to talk a little bit about the Remote Education Center.
Thank you, Micah, and welcome to Glacier High School. It's good to see you. We are offering remote education to our students this year. We have given that model the name of Remote Education Center. I put together some numbers so you can kind of see what we were looking at for enrollment. If you take a look on the elementary side, we have 246 students enrolled in our rec program. Middle school, we have 169, and on the high school side, we have 315 students. Right as of Saturday, there's 42 courses that those students have enrolled in. And we have 24 teachers involved at the high school level that are teaching one or more sections in the rec program. About 2 days ago, Mike and I were looking at those numbers and we went, okay, that's 12% of our population overall, K through 12, but let's see what the high school piece looks like compared to the other high schools in the state. I got on the Montana High School Association website, and they always have the enrollments listed in order of school size. And so I got on there and I went, oh, Micah, look at this. If we just take the rec enrollment at the high school level and perceive that as a standalone high school, we are the 36th largest high school in the state. And there are 145 high schools in the state that are smaller than our program. That's amazing. So how did we get there? How did we get from just a concept that we need to offer up and support our families that need to do remote education to actually what we're doing today? We brought a lot of bright people together. Some of you got phone calls from me saying, hey, could I chat with you for a few minutes? I want you to tell me what worked well last spring and what didn't work well. We had focus groups, we had advisories, we tried to cast a wide net so that we would have a good sense of what needed to happen. One of the messages that I heard loud and clear is please make sure there's accountability built into that model. And I want to reassure you, and you should have gotten my email this morning, or no, actually it was yesterday, about some of the accountability pieces that have been put in place for that remote education program, for that model. Micah, would you like to, thank you. This just bar graph gives you an idea of where the enrollment is. If you look, the highest enrollment happens to be seniors. We are offering the rec program K through 12 for our students. At this point, I would like to just encourage you to cut us a little bit of grace. There's a couple things that are playing in here that haven't quite settled out. We have families, not many, but I know of a couple that are still out there that really haven't made a decision on if their children are going to stay on campus or if they're going to go remote. We are working with those families. We are encouraging them to, look at all aspects of it, make decisions. We're very patient with them. They are just in a knot. They are just seized up on which way to go. And we absolutely are going to respect that. We understand it. These are very caring parents. They're part of our community, and we're going to cut them some time to make some final decisions. What that means for you is that you may have some students that leave to go into the rec program, but you also might have some students that come out of there and come back into your class. And that's going to happen quick, because once school starts and we get underway, then people are pretty much settled one way or the other. The second thing is, where we just need a little grace here, is that we know we have some classes that might be out of balance, that you might have more students in your class than your neighbor has in their class, and we understand that. I would like to acknowledge with a huge, huge round of applause and appreciation for the counselors in this school. They have turned around, basically flipped a master schedule on its side and reinvented another master schedule and got these kids enrolled from here to there. I mean, that is no light undertaking. And I'm so grateful and so impressed with what they've done. I also would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the administrators in this school. They have, without question, worked tirelessly on the master schedule and helping to put this program together. And a specific shout out to Alan. He has been at the table, he's been a creative thinker, and you guys are lucky to have him as an administrator in this building. So Alan, where's Alan? If you are one of the teachers that is teaching one section or more in the rec program, tomorrow we will be in the Glacier conference room, and we will, for 2 hours, we've got 5 objectives we'll go through, and that's really our launch where we get right down into the weeds on here's what this is going to look like, here's what the accountability is going to look like, and then we have a whole lot of things that we're going to get done in those 2 hours, in addition to the to-do list of things that we have planned for the future, such as professional development and all those type of things. So I am so excited to take on this rec program. We are getting phone calls from other schools in the state saying, oh, what are you doing in Kalispell? You guys got this thing going, and it seems to be, and the other day, Mike and I had a phone call from an administrator that just said, could you just send me your stuff? I just send it, whatever you have. So, and we have worked. It's going to be good. And I'm really happy with where we are with it right now. So we'll see rec teachers tomorrow. At this time, I would like to introduce Bill Sullivan again. He is the director for the district for operational accountability, and he has some very important and timely information to share with you.
Thank you. Certainly is a privilege to be in front of the staff at Glacier High School. A lot of you guys know who I am, some of you don't. I am starting my 24th year here in Kalispell Public Schools. Pretty privileged and honored to be a part of it for the last 24 years. The last 12 years I was the principal of Russell Elementary School. During this process in March, April, May, June, all of that kind of stuff when we were shut down, the district offered a position to help assist in creating processes and procedures and getting supplies and all of that stuff for the pandemic that we are in. The fancy name for my position you saw up there was Director of Operational Accountability. Most people know me as the COVID guy. So I am certainly that person. I want you to know that a big part of me choosing to do this for a year, and I know most of you understand and know this, is because although I have known these two for a long time, I've never really had the honor to work next to them. And this was certainly a chance for me to see what they were about and understand and learn from their great leadership. So we are in good hands with those two as our superintendent and assistant superintendent, and certainly an honor to be a part of that. Let me tell you a little bit about the process. Early in July, Micah and Callie and I sat in a room, looked at each other, and said, how on earth are we going to put processes together for a pandemic that is affecting us worldwide and that nobody has any answers for? So we looked at each other, and looked at each other, and looked at each other, and finally brainstormed the 8 Ps of the project management approach. Those 8 Ps basically kind of are the umbrella of what our district is about. And if you saw that spreadsheet, you would see that each tab of the individual Ps has a lot of information underneath every one of them. It was our goal to make sure that all of the information we put into that page got done by the time school started. So in order to do that, in order to create the documents you see at the bottom, we had to talk to people that knew more about this than we did, medical professionals, all people across the state, our Kalispell health department, law professionals. We've been in a lot of meetings to talk about a lot of stuff, which then in turn created those 2 documents you see at the bottom. The phases is how the district is opening. Everybody is aware we are opening in phase 2. It is a bullet point of all of the things that our district should look like, but that document wasn't enough to guide us through this process. So then came the pandemic operational guidance document. Here is what we need to understand with that document. It encompasses the entire district, which means 13 different buildings. So what can be done at Glacier might not be able to be done at other buildings. What can be done at other buildings might not be able to be done at Glacier. So within that, we have recommendations, we have requirements, and we have, what's the last one?
Consideration.
Considerations. Is that Stephanie Hill over there hollering that out? Stephanie Hill's read the document. Kessler, why am I looking at you? So those are the 3 things. The requirements are exactly that. We want those to be required. However, as we build this document and as we know that we are going through something we have never gone through before, some of those requirements are tough to do in different places. So if you can't do those requirements in your setting, then talk to your building principal, certainly reach out to me, we will figure out what the next best thing is. But we think that most of those requirements can be done in all buildings. Recommendations are the ones that can be done in some buildings, but not in others. So it's important that if you can do those recommendations, you certainly do them. And then certainly the considerations is that next level. We want to do as much as we can to help mitigate the spread of the virus. So there are those 3 things. So that is kind of the guiding purposes of those documents. They are there for your help, because certainly they guide you through this, and keep in mind that you guys may know more than we do in things that can be done. So certainly let us know that. I believe we put draft number 20 of the operational guidance because things change so quickly up on the school district website yesterday or the day before. So from there, we had to buy product. We had to do a lot of different things. The things you see on your left were delivered to the schools a while ago. The things on the right are being delivered this week. With the exception of the Chromebooks, those things are coming. But in all of the meetings I have been in all of the places that I have been, all of those mitigation strategies and the things that you need to do that are very, very important. But the bottom of that page, regardless of what doctor I am with, or what county health department, or where I am at, those 3 things seem to be the ones that are at the top as far as most effective to mitigate the virus. So we are calling that the shared responsibility of our community, our parents, our staff members, the 3 W's. The first one is wash your hands. Kessler was first. The second one is Watch your distance. The third one is? Wear a mask. Those three things. Not that anything else is non-negotiable, but those are probably the most important. So in the Sullivan household, this summer, knock on wood, we've been pretty healthy. This summer I have a bathroom that comes right off the back door. My kids, I have a junior that'll be in this building, I have a freshman that'll be in this building. They have to, no matter where they go in the community, when we walk into our house, the first thing that has to be done in that bathroom, wash your hands. We've been pretty healthy. Watch your distance. This is a great time of year. It's the beginning of the school year. We love to be around our colleagues. I love looking out into the audience to see you guys are spread apart. 6 feet is the magic number. But when we can't get 6 feet, 5 feet is better than 4. 4 feet is better than 3. 3 feet is better than 2. You're going to do your best to keep yourself spread apart. And last but not least, wear your mask. Micah will talk about that here in a little bit, but it's important that we wear our mask. So from here, one of our meetings was with the Kalispell Regional Medical Center, and if you guys are familiar with the hospital, a year-ish ago, they went through some turbulent times and were getting some pretty bad press. Well, those guys met with us and said, probably the tipping point for us is when we started to communicate with the community. So about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, Micah got together with myself, called up Stephanie Hill, who's over there videoing this thing, communicating, right? And said, we've got a task. We've got to put this communication plan together, and we've got to get stuff out to our community. So we have beefed up the emails that Micah has sent out. Our website looks completely different. It now has just a COVID link that you can click on to get all things COVID information in there. And then last but not least, Micah is becoming a YouTube sensation. I don't know if you guys have seen him, but he is interviewing, he is talking to people. We are putting videos out on YouTube so our families and our staff can understand and see what is going on and what will be in effect as we enter our buildings. So with that being said, this is a pretty exciting time of the year. I am excited that you guys are here today. I am excited that my kids are going to be here for face-to-face instruction and that you guys are going to take care of them. I know the virus is in our valley. I know the virus is in our town. I cannot guarantee you it's not going to be in this building. But at the end of the day, you have to go home at night and say, I did everything in my power with the cards that I have been dealt to make sure I stop the spread. That's what that document's about. That's what we're here to help you with. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please reach out. I wish you the best in year 2020 and 21.
Thank you, Bill. So, face coverings. I don't know if you've heard anything about it. I have a little bit, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a historical perspective. In March, the CDC guidelines said face coverings are not required or recommended for healthy people. And then in April, they said, it actually helps stop the spread. Maybe we should be wearing masks. And then you start seeing states and communities start to enforce mask orders. And our governor said face coverings are required in public places, and which was great, except he did not include schools at that point in time. I sent an email to our school board and said, I think we need to require face coverings. And I sent that same email to our staff, and I sent the same email to our parents. And I want to be clear about something. This is not a political issue for me. This is about the fact that I know we have staff members in our district who have underlying health conditions. I know that we have staff members who have children with underlying health conditions. I know that we have staff members who take care of their parents with underlying health conditions. This is important because it's about protecting each other and protecting yourselves. That's why we do it. And so the board said at a board meeting 2 weeks ago on Tuesday, said, okay, we're going to require face coverings. And it was pretty broad. It just said face coverings required for all staff, students, and visitors into our buildings and on our transportation. The next day, the governor said, oh, by the way, it's required for schools. And I said, thank you, Governor. And then, once the governor required it, and I'll back up just a little bit, when I sent out the emails to staff and parents and the board, I did not have one person say anything negative about requiring face masks, face coverings. It wasn't until after the governor made the mandate in schools that I got some interesting phone calls and emails. And I understand, and I'm not debating that. I had an attorney call me and he wanted to debate constitutional law. I don't debate constitutional law. I do what I'm asked to do, and we have a legal obligation to make sure that we are following those orders, whether it comes from the board or from the governor. And so when it comes to face coverage, when we walk into a building, we need to be wearing them. When we're in our common areas, we need to be wearing them. When we're with our students, we need to be wearing them. Since the governor's order came out, there's been a lot of email traffic with the Montana School Boards Association asking for clarification. They get back in contact with the governor's office, and they provide us some clarification. Technically, by the governor's order, I do not have to wear a face mask because I'm more than 6 feet away from you, and you're socially distanced and wearing masks. In a classroom, technically, you don't have to wear a face mask if you are more than 6 feet away from your students and they're socially distanced. So there's the rule, and then there's the application. Do I need to wear a face mask right now? No. Am I choosing to? Yes, because that is my responsibility to make sure that I'm protecting you and protecting myself from others. So that's why we do it. And it's really important, and part of the reason, and as you think about the changes that you're going to have to go through and what you do, I'm going to pick on the English department for just a minute. The English department gets together at lunch every day. And if they're all in a room together, having lunch, their masks are off, you can't eat when you're wearing a mask, and one person in that English department is identified to have contracted COVID, everybody in that room, if you've been in that room for more than 15 minutes without a mask on, you're going to lose the entire English department at Glacier High School. So that's what I'm concerned about. We want to be open. We want to serve our kids. We know from our past experience this spring that the most important thing we do is face-to-face. And so we're going to have to make some changes in how we do that, and what your day looks like, and how you're going to have to interact with each other. And so it's just a word of caution as you're thinking about this and what could potentially play out in any given scenario for how are we going to keep our schools open. And so it comes back to those 3 W's. Wear a mask, watch your distance, wash your hands. Those are the 3 big things, and that's what we are hoping will help us remain open. So I'm not going to belabor the face covering issue any longer. I'm going to turn this back over to Callie, who's going to share a little message with you.
I have taken my face mask off, and I'm still in compliance, and you're going to see in just a minute why it's necessary for me to remove my mask. I have had the great fortune to be married to a guy named Mike for 46 years. And in those 46 years, I was a Navy wife for 30 years. My husband served for 30 years as a Navy officer. And in those 30 years as a Navy wife, I had a front row seat in listening and watching Navy culture and climate. But even more importantly, I had a front row seat in watching leadership. Throughout those 30 years, he went through a lot of professional development. He was always in some kind of continuous improvement cycle. About 3 weeks ago, I came home from work, and I was just like out of sorts. And I felt like I was getting punched in a lot of different directions. And it wasn't because people were being mean, or Henri. It was just, the day wasn't long enough to get everything done. And I was feeling the pressure of all the tasks that we had to do. And as you know, as educators, on a regular school year opening, there's a lot of things to do. But this year was especially, it just had this heavy load. And I was describing this to my husband, and I said, I have to find that place of equilibrium. I cannot be a leader in a large school district and be in this frame of mind the whole year. It's not me. And he very calmly and patiently looked at me in a very quiet voice, and he said, "Steady as she goes." I was like, that's it. Steady as she goes. And that's my message of encouragement to you today, is steady as she goes. Stay the course. You are professional educators. No one knows this occupation, this business better than you. No one. You are the professionals. You are the captain of your ship. Keep your hand firmly on the helm. Stay the course. Is there a potential that you're going to have to adjust your sails? Maybe. Let me give you an example of that. For many of you, you have worked years fine-tuning pacing guides and lesson plans and assessments. They're the best of the best. You may have to adjust those this year because you are taking time out of your instruction to have students wash their hands, disinfect your classroom, change out pencils, all those type of things. You have permission from us to do that. Adjust your sails. We have total trust and faith in you. You are the professional. You are the captain of your ship. And last but not least is take care of your shipmates. The students that walk into your class, they're part of your crew. And they have not been in school for approximately 5 to 6 months. They may be a little rusty around the edges. They may have forgotten a few things about how to do school. And then we'll have a small group of kids that really have had a tough go, a really tough go. And they're going to need our extra love and our extra patience. They're part of our crew. And you know what? It's what Glacier does best. You take care of your people. The other piece to this, in taking care of your shipmates, is when I look out here in the performance hall, you guys are all your shipmates. Glacier is a school that's known for having an outstanding educational staff. It's a tight-knit staff. You guys get it. You get what grit is. You get what gratitude is. But take care of each other. It's the real small things that are going to be important this year to not overlook. When my husband and I first got married, we were stationed in Pearl Harbor, and my husband was a supply officer on a fast frigate. It was called the Harold E. Holt. And one of the things that I learned is just being around as a Navy wife is that those ships are incredibly noisy. They just, when the engines are on, they are very noisy and you can't hear. And that's very typical with a lot of ships in the Navy. They're just really noisy. Well, over the years, and we're talking long period of time, history of the Navy, they have developed a communication system that allows the sailors and officers on the ship to hear by signal on what's going on. And there are sailors, and that's their job. And they take great pride, they have fancy whistles, and they take great pride in queuing up what those different signals are. So there may be a signal for when the ship is ready to be underway. There may be another signal that they use when they need the sailors to assemble out on the deck. What I would like to do on behalf of all administrators in the district is welcome you aboard for this school year. We are going to have an incredible, incredible school year, and I would like to formally welcome you aboard.
Thank you, Callie. I know you guys have probably had a lot of meetings and probably have a lot more work to do, so we don't want to take up a whole lot more of your time, but just in some final thoughts as we open up the school year. I mentioned that I have conversations with area superintendents and AA superintendents, and we share our plans and we talk about our challenges and what are you going to do and what are we going to do. I think I'm just blessed with an amazing staff in Kalispell Public Schools. We're getting it done, and the challenges that we have, certainly they have, but they even talk about greater challenges, and I'm just so grateful for your professionalism and understanding as we do this. And the goal is to get open and stay open. I really hope we can achieve that. There's lots of conversations around what could happen if there are cases in our schools, and we will certainly address those, working with a great advisory council that includes medical professionals in our community. And so we will continue to work on those plans and update you with any new information as we go. This picture up here, this is Brad Dahl. He was just recently hired this year to work in our Aspire program at Rankin Elementary. And Rankin was the first school we presented at yesterday. And he has a chalkboard wall in his classroom. And after Callie's presentation, he went back to his classroom and he drew this. I know. Callie started crying. Which is usually what I do. Because we do have the challenges, and people say, "Wow, Micah, what a tough time to be coming into a superintendent's role," and it is. But I love my job, and I've loved every minute of it so far. And just because I go home and curl up in the fetal position does not mean that I don't like it. Again, we are here to support you and encourage you, and whatever you need, please reach out to any one of us. On behalf of the Kalispell Public Schools administrative team, we're grateful and thankful, and we wish you the best this year. Thank you.